What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. I was going to save this video for a rainy day, but the Red Sox just lost 2 out of their last 3 to the Baltimore Orioles, so I feel like this warrants a rainy day type video. And what I'm talking about today is that every year the MLB puts out their top 100 MLB prospects, but they also put out their top 30 prospects for every single MLB team. And of course, the Red Sox are involved in that. And I don't want to sit here and ramble going through 30 minor league players who some of us probably don't even know who they are, so I'm going to do the top 15 because that's where most of the powerhouse guys are. I'm going to go over my reaction to where they're placed, whether or not I think they should be there, and maybe I'll give you guys a little tease at what I think my top 15 would be as well. But I also want you guys to tell me what you think of this list as well. I want you to react as you're watching this video with me and comment down below what you think of all of these placements. But as always, before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you have not already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys are hitting the like button on these videos as well. If you're newly subscribed or currently subscribed, it is the best way to help this channel out, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this video. Let's get into it. Alright, so I probably won't be looking at the camera as much as I normally do in these videos, and that's because I'm trying as much as I possibly can to blind react to this list. I have looked at it before for other videos, but obviously I haven't taken an in-depth look into each prospect and stuff like that like we're about to do. So this is going to be as blind a reaction as I could possibly give you. So if you see me look left or right or whatever, trying to look at what, you know, who he is or how he plays and stuff like that, that is why. We're going to start this list with number 15. And number 15, we have Thad Ward. Honestly, I don't know a ton about Thad Ward. He is a right-handed pitcher for the Red Sox. All I do know is that he has a crazy slider and he's hurt right now. Obviously, these guys think he has the potential to be a top 15 pitching prospect. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't had the opportunity to watch him work a lot, but I do know he's got a really nasty slider, so that's probably what got him into that top 15. At number 14, we got Connor Siebold. And Connor is a guy like Josh Winkowski who's right on the cusp of trying to get some hours in the big leagues. He's a lot like Josh Winkowski, where he doesn't have a ton of put out stuff, but he does have a lot of weak contact kind of stuff. And I could see Connor coming up within the next month or two to try and at least get a start and make his, I believe he's already had his big league debut, but make his 2022 debut. And I could also see him fitting into the bullpen at some point this year, especially if he keeps doing well. He had a little bit of a rocky period here in Worcester. He's got about a 6 ERA right now, but his stuff is really, really good. So if he can continue to bring that down, I could see him definitely getting some playing time in the MLB. I also think that him at 14 does make sense because of his potential. At 13, we got Josh Winkowski, who, even though he had a really tough start against the Orioles last night, he was a little bit all over the place, gives up the 3-run home run Odor on a kind of a cookie cutter fastball. I still think that this is kind of the right spot for Josh. I think he at least deserves to be in that top 15 conversation, if not that top 10 conversation. I really like his stuff, and I kind of like the idea of a big guy who's a pitch to contact. It kind of throws people off. We saw last night a little bit where guys were swinging on top of everything or below everything. Really, Odor was the only one to make solid contact against Winkowski. So yes, he got rocked a little bit, but I really like where he's at in this placement as well. At 12, we've got Matthew Lugo, who is actually a cousin of Carlos Beltran. And yeah, this kind of makes sense to me too. Outside of the top 10, definitely, but in the top 15, yes. He's got a really good power potential. He's pretty decent as a fielder, and he has above average speed. So yeah, top 15 makes sense for him. 11. Jay Groom at 11, and I don't know if I put him in my top 15, to be honest with you. Yes, the potential has been there. It's been there for a while, right? He's been hurt for a very long time, and I just don't know if I give him the leeway anymore to be an almost top 10 pitching prospect. I think maybe if we're going to put him in the top 15, I'd have him towards the bottom at, 15 or 14, but I just simply don't know if he genuinely has what it takes to ever be a impact player in the big leagues. He's showing signs of it right now in the minor leagues, but it might be too little too late in my opinion. All right, 10 through 6, we actually have Chris Murphy, Wilkerman Gonzalez, Brandon Walter, and Brian Mader, who are all pitchers. And in my opinion, having all these pitchers in the top 15, it's because we have so many pitchers in our farm system that a lot of it's going to be pitching prospects. But to me, they're so volatile that at any point, these guys can, get Tommy John in their careers over. Or their shoulder starts hurting and just never stops. And, they lose their grip on the slider and stuff like that. So in my opinion, having these guys in the top 15 is a little bit risky, in my opinion. Chris Murphy, Wilkman Gonzalez. Brandon Walter is a guy who I think has a lot of potential, so I actually like the idea of him in the top 10. I don't know a ton about Wilkman, and I don't know a ton about Chris Murphy. I do know Chris Murphy has some pretty high velo, so maybe he deserves a top 10 spot, but I think there are guys who we're going to talk about in a little bit who definitely deserve a top 10 spot who didn't make it over these pitchers. So in my opinion, I think that these at least Wilkman and Chris Murphy should be moved out of this list, but that's just my opinion. Brian Maeda is a guy who I definitely think should be on this list. He's got crazy movement. He's got good control. He's hurt right now, but when he gets healthier and hopefully he comes back 100%, I could definitely see him start moving up the ranks like Bayo has in recent days. As for number 6, we got Blaze Jordan, our only non-pitching prospect in 10 through 6. And Blaze Jordan, if you guys don't know, hits the ball a mile. In, I believe it was 8th or 9th grade, he hit a 500-foot home run. So this guy has crazy power potential, but not only that, he's going off right now in his minor league career. He's hitting above 300. I think it's like 330 at this point with a couple home runs. And not only just the home runs, but he's spraying the ball all over the field, which is exactly what everyone was concerned with Blaze Jordan, is the fact that he wouldn't be able to spray the ball all over the field, and he's only a fastball hitter and blah, 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 blah. But it appears as though he has been able to make that adjustment, and that is huge for the Red Sox. In fact, I might have him in my top 5 if I'm making my own list, just because of the power potential. His swing reminds me a lot of Bryce Harper, and we all know how good Bryce Harper is. Moving on to the top 5. All right, so only one pitcher makes this list, and we're going to talk about him in a second, but at number 5, we have Jeter Downs. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I don't know how Jeter Downs makes it above Maeda, above Blaze Jordan, above Brandon Walter. I just don't get the hype around Jeter Downs at this point. I don't get why he's even in the top 15. You guys can see the list right now, and we're going to talk about each person individually, but we don't have Jaron Duran, we don't have Benelis, Hamilton, we don't have Gilberto Jimenez, we don't have those guys on the top 15 list, but we have a guy like Jeter Downs who hit below 200 last year and is hitting about 230, 240 this year. It just doesn't make sense to me. His fielding potential isn't, in my opinion, good enough to warrant a top 5 with his batting stats, because yes, he does have potential as a hitter to become a very talented, not a superstar slugger or anything like that, but a gap to gap contact guy who hits above 300 and doubles 40 times, but it just hasn't happened so far. Potential can only get you so far, in my opinion. You got to look at what they're actually doing in the minors, and right now Jeter Downs just simply is not doing that. I think Jaron Duran could take that spot. I think Blaze Jordan could come up and take that spot. I think Maeda can take that. There's a ton of different options for who could be in the 5 besides Jeter Downs. At number 4, we got Brayan Bello, and if you're gonna put a pitcher in the top 5, in my opinion, they gotta be pretty dang good, and Brayan Bello's getting Pedro Martinez comparison, so yeah, I think Bello's pretty dang good. He has a below 2 ERA right now in between AA and AAA. He has an opponent batting average below 200 right now between AA and AAA, and he is absolutely electric. His movement's incredible on his all of his pitches, and he can spot it really, really well, and I'm expecting Bello to at some point at least make his major league debut this year of some form or capacity. I really realistically expect him to be a sort of bullpen piece come August, September, depending on where this team's at, right? Whether they need to expand their roster for the playoffs or they need to just give guys a break. It's the end of the year. We're not going to do anything. We're out of contention, stuff like that. So I could see Brayan Bello making his appearance in August. This is definitely a good spot for him if you're going to put him in the top 5. I like him at 4. Number 3, we got Nick York, and this is my personal favorite Red Sox prospect. I think this guy has a ton of potential, both on the field, which a lot of people aren't talking about, because I think he could be a very, very solid second baseman in the future. He isn't quite there yet with his glove, but I really do think it'll come in time. He's just too athletic not to be, but his hitting tool is fantastic. Contact, power, vision, everything a prospect needs to be a top 100 prospect, Nick York has, and then some a little bit. So in my opinion, Nick York is definitely deserving of the top 3. I might even put him top 2 over who we're going to talk about next, but for right now, I definitely agree. Definitely a top 3 Red Sox prospect. At number 2, we got Tristan Casas, who I think a lot of people would agree with him being 2 over Nick York. That's just personal opinion, but either way, he's an absolute slugger as well. We should probably see him up in the major leagues in a couple of months. I would guess by the end of July, we see Tristan Casas up here. He does have a little bit to figure out in the minors right now, which is slightly concerning. He's hitting below 250 with the Worcester Red Sox, and as much as people people want to say, oh, 250 is better than Bobby Dahlbeck. Yeah, sure, but the difference between AAA pitching and Major League pitching is insane. So to be hitting below 250 against minor league pitching is not a fantastic sign, but I do think he figures that out because his hit tool is too important to him to really let it go. He gets comparisons to JD Martinez all the time, so definitely a prospect who well deserving of the number 2 spot, and definitely a guy who could make an impact on the Red Sox within the next month or so. And the number 1 prospect should be no surprise to anybody. It's Marcelo Meyer, who is by far and away our most talented prospect we have right now. He's been absolutely tearing it up this year. He just got injured. He came up for a MRI scan and everything like that on his wrist. I think it ended up just being a sprain, so he's only out for a little bit. Hopefully that doesn't, cause some long-term issues or anything like that, because his fielding is fantastic. His hitting is incredible. Did you guys see the video of him hitting a home run off of Nathan Eovaldi in spring training? That was pretty cool. So yes, I agree. Marcelo Meyer should be in the number 1 spot. Definitely. Just to wrap things up here, in my opinion, I think the MLB list is pretty accurate. I think they did go pretty heavy on the pitching side of things. I think they could have added in some positional players. Duran could have been in there. Gilberto Jimenez could have been in there. Alex Benelis, David Hamilton, those guys. But other than that, I say it was fairly good. At least the top 10, which is really what really matters. So let me know what your thoughts are on this list down below. What'd you like about it? What'd you not like about it? What would you have done differently if you had the opportunity to make MLB's Red Sox top 15 list? Let me know all your thoughts down below. As always, if you've made it to the end of these videos, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Like I said, if you are new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys are hitting the like button on these videos as well. If you haven't done that already, it is the best way to help this channel out, and it means a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the next one.